The best event across all professional sports has returned, and that will be the UEFA Champions League. Half of the games have been played for match day 1, and coming into this Champions League campaign, we knew the English clubs, they had a lot to prove without any of them making the quarterfinals a year ago. We saw Manchester United and Manchester City in action on Tuesday night, and yes, as you have guessed, it was the same old story for the English clubs in European competition. Welcome to the Best Damn Champions League review. Back again for the first time. This time to talk everything Manchester, because both the Red Devils and Manchester City were in action on Tuesday to open up the Champions League. Both suffering the same fate, and that would be 2-1 losses. Manchester City lost 2-1 to Juventus, the old lady, and Manchester United took a trip to Holland and lost to PSV, and that's where we're going to start with Manchester United, who I think played overall a great game, a game they should have won. They saw Memphis Depay score against his former club in PSV to open up the scoring. And Manchester United, they controlled the pace of this match. They held most of possession, outshot PSV 17-6. Also on goal, 5-4 shots in favor of United. But they just weren't clinical enough when it came to finishing. And 2 defensive mishaps took place by Manchester United, and that ended up being the difference. And a lot shifted into PSV's favor after a terrible tackle was committed by Hector Moreno in the 20th minute that saw Luke Shaw break his leg. It was a horrific challenge, which had to bring on Marcos Rojo, and Marcos Rojo made the mistake in the decisive goal that saw PSV win the game. Man United was the better side, and it's unfortunate that they didn't win this game. It's also perplexing that Hector Moreno, on his disgusting tackle on Luke Shaw, didn't even receive a card. He should have been red carded, and that should have been a penalty kick given to Man United. That at least probably would have saw them come away with the draw, but probably more, since PSV would have then had to play the rest of the game, which would have been about 70 minutes with just 10 men. So you cannot tell me that this game possibly couldn't have ended in Man United's favor with them having 70 minutes and a one-man advantage. So Man United, they were kind of screwed out of this match. But they had their chances also to win, and they didn't take their chances. So now United sits at the bottom of Group B along CSKA Moscow, and they'll have to play from behind. I still like their chances of advancing. Don't believe PSV nor CSKA Moscow are in their class. So once Wayne Rooney is able to return from injury, I believe he will do enough scoring that will see Man United through to the round of 16. But I do want to say, get well soon to Luke Shaw. It was a disgusting tackle by Hector Moreno. He should have been red carded. I hope some type of punishment comes down for this, and I expect retribution when PSV makes that trip to Old Trafford. As for the other club of Manchester, which would be Manchester City, we knew coming into this match against Juventus, they were flying high through 5 games in the EPL, had not conceded a goal, netted 11, hadn't dropped a point to this date. But that was no match for the old lady in Juventus, who coming into this game had not won a Serie A game. Surprisingly, through 3 games, Juve are still winless in Serie A. But that didn't matter when it came to the Etihad versus Manchester City. They got the job done despite City being the better side. City had early chances, specifically Raheem Sterling, but Buffon, he was easily the best player for Juventus. He had a lot of big saves, and he totaled 5 in the game. And they were 5 big saves because Manchester City could have very well had 3 to 4 goals in that game. And once they finally opened the scoring with the Chiellini own goal, that should have been disallowed because Vincent Kompany was all over his back. It was a definite foul, no question about it. You thought Manchester City from that point, when they took the lead, they were going to cruise to victory. But no, the young stud, Paul Pogba, whips in a terrific ball from about 50 yards out at an angle to Mario Mandzukic, who taps it in to equalize around the 70th minute. And from that point on, it was a wide open game. It was any team's game. And luckily for Juventus, the ball found Alvaro Morata's left foot, and he knocks in a beautiful curler into the bottom left corner, giving Juve the 2-1 lead. That would be the eventual final score. And yet again, another Champions League blunder for Manchester City. And now as they sit alongside Borussia Mönchengladbach at the bottom of the table, they will have to fight their way to the top two spots because you got Sevilla and Juventus up there, and those are not two sides that can just be walked over. So Manchester City now playing from behind has their work cut out for them. And I honestly think Pellegrini dropped the ball. Pellegrini should take the blame because why is Bonnie in the starting lineup over Sergio Aguero? Bonnie had his chances in the match too. Did not take them well. He played poorly for a striker. And I don't know, he has not resembled the striker from Swansea since he has joined City. He's just not that good at Manchester City. And yes, Aguero got injured over the weekend. But if he was unfit, why is he even on the squad? And why was he subbed in the 80th minute after Juve took the lead? Because prior to them taking the lead, Pellegrini was getting ready to sub in Jesus Navas with his last sub. But once he seen them take the lead, he decided to go with Aguero instead, which I think was too little too late. He made a sub after Mandzukic scored the equalizer. That is when Sergio Aguero should have came in for the final 20 minutes of the match, try to win the game. Kevin De Bruyne came on, I think, in the 60th minute. Like, why are you signing Kevin De Bruyne, Otamendi, if you're not going to use them? Otamendi was the best defender in La Liga last year by the numbers. Now, I can understand why not playing Otamendi because their back four with Kompany and Mangala anchoring in the middle has been playing well. So I understand that. But why sign a player of Kevin De Bruyne's stature if you're not going to use him when it matters most, which is Champions League football? I don't get it. It feels like Pellegrini underestimated Juventus because they had not won a game in Serie A. Now, like I said, I understand Aguero had injury problems, but why not sub him in once they equalize? I just don't understand Pellegrini's thought process. Kevin De Bruyne is a fantastic creator. And when he also brought him into the game, he played him sort of in a holding midfield position, which is not where Kevin De Bruyne is his best. He needs to be going forward, creating chances. He didn't tie the Bundesliga record for most assists in a season for no reason. So I just don't understand why De Bruyne is just being sort of worked in slowly. Bring him into the fire because this is the Champions League and Manchester City is pretty much in a group of death with Juventus, Sevilla, and Mönchengladbach. Gladbach is taking a step back, but Sevilla and Juventus obviously are capable, and with them both having 3 points, City now has to catch at least one of them. So the fact Pellegrini was playing City as if they already had a top 2 spot solidified, to me is just mind-boggling, and this loss should go on his shoulders. And yes, Juventus sold a lot of talent over the summer, but it seems as if Pellegrini forgot they were just in the Champions League final with Barcelona. It seems like he forgot Alvaro Morata equalized against Barcelona, and around the 60th minute, it was 1-1. Juventus had a chance to win the Champions League just a season ago. They're not all of a sudden going to be a walkover. Now, City has their work cut out for them the rest of the Champions League group stage.